On December 2nd, 1939, the Blue Star Line steamer Doric Star was some 600 miles from the island of St. Helena when a heavy shell splashed into the sea less than 100 yards off. The lookout identified the ship shooting at them as a battleship. A launch came from the attacking vessel with a boarding party, and the crew were given 10 minutes to collect belongings and were removed to the German ship. The Doric Star was sunk with a torpedo. On the German vessel, they found a ship crowded with English merchant seamen, all victims of the same German raider. The ship that had attacked them was large, mounting 11-inch guns. Officially a Panzerschiff, or armored ship, it was the type the British referred to as a pocket battleship. It was the Deutschland-class vessel, Admiral Grash Bay. The 16,000-ton German cruiser, commissioned in 1936, had found success as a commerce raider, but her days were numbered. The Doric Star had been able to radio its position before being captured, and a British squadron had anticipated where the Admiral Grash Bay would go next. The officers of the Doric Star and several other vessels were locked in two tiny rooms aboard the Grash Bay on December 13th when they heard the unmistakable sounds of combat. The Admiral Grash Bay was in the first significant naval battle of the Second World War, the Battle of the River Plate, engaged with three British cruisers, the York-class heavy cruiser HMS Exeter and two Leander-class light cruisers, HMS Ajax and HMNZS Achilles of the New Zealand Squadron. It was a bruising battle. Although their own lives were in danger, Captain Stubbs of the Doric Star and the other merchant mariner officers reportedly cheered each time the British vessels scored a hit on the Admiral Grash Bay. Exeter was badly damaged. Grash Bay could have finished her off, but Ajax and Achilles were able to draw its fire. Ajax was also seriously damaged, and the battle seemed desperate when the Admiral Grash Bay broke off the attack. A shell from Exeter had destroyed Grash Bay's raw fuel processing center, leaving her with only 16 hours of fuel. While other damage was superficial, the destruction of the fuel purification system was the fatal blow, as the Grash Bay used diesel, not fuel oil like most ships, requiring treated fuel for its engines. With no friendly port in reach where it could make repairs, the Admiral Grash Bay could not make it home. The captain of the Achilles was surprised when the Grash Bay turned away, thinking the ship could have finished them off with Exeter nearly disabled. In fact, Admiral Grash Bay's captain, Hans Langsdorff, had surveyed the damage to his own ship and determined that it was no longer seaworthy. In a decision still questioned to this day, he made smoke and ran for the neutral port of Montevideo, Uruguay. By the rules of neutrality, a warship was only supposed to be allowed to stay in a neutral port for 24 hours, but Uruguay gave Langsdorff an extra 72 hours. Still, by treaty, if he stayed longer, his crew and ship would have to be interred for the rest of the war. Under orders not to let the ship be interred, Langsdorff, mistakenly convinced that the British had brought an overwhelming force to meet him, took the damaged Admiral Grash Bay to sea and scuttled the ship.